Tuscan, a lettering style with many hundreds if not thousands of variations. In its simplest form, little more than classic Roman with an unfinished serif. But don't be fooled, for therein lies the possibilities for luxurious elaboration, limited only by your own imagination. So watch on, brushketeers, and I'll show you a really easy and quick way of signwriting a Tuscan letter.
Greetings, brushketeers, and welcome to another traditional signwriting lesson with John Boy.
What about you? John Boy from Titanic Town Sign School at your service. In this lesson, I will be demonstrating a relatively simple form of Tuscan, inspired by this beautiful freestyle lettering that I encountered on a recent trip to Menton on the French Riviera, and a mere stone's throw from the Italian border. And obviously, as is my standard operating procedure, I will not be using any computer-generated or pre-drawn templates, just real signwriting. So without further ado, let's get the sable flowing. But first, a dry run. As you can see, I have already sketched out the word Tuscan very loosely, and without any great detail, just to get the general proportions and positioning of the letters. There will be no need for any further marking out. We have one vertical line here and two vertical ticks at equal distance either side. This will be our T. This line will be the centre of our downstroke, and using a number 6 lettering brush, in pure red sable of course, we will be running the right hand edge down the length of this line. With the brush hairs worked to a sharp chisel, the plan is that as long as you keep your eye on the right hand edge when putting the stroke, then the left hand edge will take care of itself. This will then be mirrored on the opposite side, this time watching the left hand edge of the brush. This will give you the full width of the downstroke, and this is the basis for any built-up freestyle downstroke in signwriting. But obviously we also need to take the serifs into consideration, so we start the stroke slightly out to the left with the chiselled brush angled slightly down to the right. Watching the right hand edge, start lightly with this angled tip, moving smoothly in a downward curve towards the vertical centre line, increasing pressure until the centre has been reached. Continue down with the same pressure, watching the drawn vertical line all the time until, just shy of the baseline, the pressure is released in conjunction with the curving outwards and angling of the brush, slightly downwards to the left this time. After this process is mirrored to form the complete downstroke, the letter's defining strokes can be added. So once I've armed myself with my trusty number 6 and a dipper of imitation gold enamel, I'll be talking you through it, this time for real. The fully loaded brush is worked repeatedly against the edge of the dipper until a nice fine chisel edge is achieved as seen here. Aiming for that central vertical with the right edge of the brush as we straighten our stroke. Start almost horizontal with light pressure. Increase pressure while simultaneously curving smoothly towards the vertical and maximum brush width. Continue the stroke downwards, and if your brush doesn't run dry like mine has here, then start the flare out whilst releasing pressure and twisting the brush to just off the horizontal as you reach the baseline. Keep this lower serif shorter than the top one. Repeat on the opposite side of the central vertical, mirroring the curved parts. Watch the left edge of the brush this time, and if you go close enough to the right hand stroke, the two painted edges will flow together and become as one. Alternatively, a very slight overlap will produce the same result, without any noticeable reduction to the stroke width. You can immediately see how this relates to the formation of a Roman serif. However, they do look unfinished like this, so they are refined like so. And there we have a Tuscan fishtail serif. The top is also refined before continuing with the T. The upper stroke of the T is formed by a calligraphic style curved stroke as shown, on either side of the downstroke, and emanating from the upper fishtail. Refine is required, and although this can still pass as an uppercase T, it's not really that aesthetically pleasing. So the addition of a simple spur at the outside top of each protrusion will make all the difference. But we're not quite finished for this T yet. So at the height of approximately the middle of the smaller letters, another spur or barb is added to each side of the main stroke. And that is our T. This U will be based on a classic Roman U, with a thick left-hand downstroke and a thin right-hand one. Starting the stroke similar to our T, and again keeping the right-hand edge of the brush to our drawn vertical line, continue down as before. At approximately 2/3 of the letter height, begin to release the pressure, curving smoothly to the right, whilst aiming to finish just beyond the bottom dead centre of the letter. Mirroring this stroke until the 2/3 point, where we follow the curve on the inside towards the centre again. Refine the fishtail if needed, and add the spurs while the paint is still at optimum wetness. The right hand downstroke will be the width of one brushstroke pulled at a medium pressure. So load the brush up fully before working the tip to a fine chisel. Starting the stroke in the usual manner, but from the right this time, continue down at a medium pressure, mirroring the inner left-hand curve until the two halves are joined. Finish the fishtail and round off the inside curve if required. I won't be bothering with the spurs on this thinner downstroke as it would be a bit overkill. And now for the S. Starting just left of top dead centre, with the tip of the brush, quickly begin to increase pressure as you curve round towards the centre of the letter, twisting the brush so that the now underside edge of the brush is following the drawn line. As you begin to curve back again, start releasing the pressure on the brush again until you come to just past bottom dead centre. So just let me adjust the angle so the reflection isn't spoiling your view. Can you see that better now? Good. So back on course. Thicken the stroke up by starting in the same place, but as the pressure is increased, follow the previous stroke as shown. The rest of the S is constructed with a curved stroke similar to the upper parts of our T. But the lower section will be slightly further from the central vertical than the upper section. This will prevent the S from appearing top heavy. Finish by adding a spur. And repeat by inverting this process for the upper section, which should be kept slightly closer to the central vertical than the lower part of the curve this time. The barbs on the main stroke will be kept at an angle for the S this time, like so. Before commencing the next letter, I notice that I have sketched the outer perimeter for the C. So to avoid confusion, I will adjust this so that you can construct it in the same way as the previous letters. So having compacted the general shape of the C to a more oval shape, which will allow for the building up of the stroke from a central line, begin the same as the S, increasing pressure, but this time with a wider curve, on the outside of the line and aiming for the midway point where the pressure can be released until you reach bottom dead centre. Thicken the stroke by repeating on the inside of the line and following this line with the left-hand brush edge. The lower section is added as shown with a medium pressured curved stroke joining up with the main stroke just below the baseline. And refine is required. The upper section is done just the same as the S that we have just done. And add the barbs to the relevant places. Moving on to the A, which again will be based on a Roman A with its thin and thick strokes. This time, however, we will be using the drawn diagonal lines as the outside edges of the letter. So, similar to the thin stroke of our U, Start the serif to the left of the top of the stroke, following the line downwards with medium pressure along the right hand side until, nearing the baseline, you can flare it out for the lower serif, before adding in the other side, thus completing the thin stroke's fishtail. Whoops! The joys of using brushes made of natural materials. So back on track, we can construct the heavy stroke by basically mirroring the thin stroke, but applying a heavier pressure for this one. Double up the stroke as before and adjust the fishtails as necessary. The cross stroke of this A can be approached in various ways, such as a straight horizontal stroke or a chevron. But I want it to seem like it is growing naturally out from the base of the heavy stroke and curling around. So it's best to start towards the left of the lower half of the letter and curve it around and down, joining smoothly with the main stroke. And just beef that stroke up as shown. Now add the spur opposite the cross stroke, and that's the A. So that just leaves us with the N, which, similar to a Roman N, will be constructed from two thin parallel downstrokes, joined by a heavier diagonal. And just as on the Trajan column, the thinner downstrokes of the N will be thickened up slightly. So, using a medium to heavy pressure, pull the downstroke just as before, starting with the serif and using the drawn guideline as the outside of the stroke. Flare out for the serif on approaching the baseline. And finish the serif as before. You can then invert this process for the other downstroke. Starting below the diagonal line, pull the stroke downwards towards the bottom right. But this time do not flare outwards. Instead, curve it inwards and around to meet with our right hand flare. And now we just have to mirror that diagonal stroke to above the guideline to give it its proper weight. And tidy up the top and bottom as required before adding the spurs. Diagonally. Again. And so we have the word Tuscan written in Tuscan. Well, if you've made it this far in the video, I think you deserve a quick bonus. So I'm going to show you a cool wee trick which will give this lettering the appearance of having a slightly more complicated construction than it actually does. And it's quite simple to do. And all we're going to need is a drop of paint in a contrasting colour, plus the same brush that we have just done the lettering with. This will involve adding an inset to the lower half of each heavy stroke, following the curves and shapes created by the spurs and serifs. It would probably be best if the lettering was left overnight to fully dry, but here I'm doing it literally straight after, so the gold paint is still extremely wet. But you still should get the general idea. So, starting just inside and down from the barb, pull a stroke with light to medium pressure, twisting the brush while following the nearest edge of the letter through 180 degrees to point in the opposite direction as you approach the bottom serif. Repeat this as a mirrored action on the other side of the same downstroke as shown. This will give the effect of an inset panel with fishtail finials. Repeat this for the heavy stroke of the U, but follow the curve towards the bottom centre, stopping short as shown. And you can see just how wet this gold is, but I've started, so we'll finish. Treat the S in a similar fashion. but also add a crescent of the red into the lower serif. The C is just a mirrored version of the S without the need for the extra inset. The A is done very like the T, but with one small difference: the slight extending of the top left side into the cross stroke for a more organic and balanced look. And the N is finished off like so, by rounding the base of the inset to match the letter. So I hope that this has been a simple, quick and effective introduction to hand-painted freestyle Tuscan lettering. There are obviously many other ways of decorating and embellishing even these relatively simple forms of this style, but that's for another day. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. You never know, you might just learn something.